You know, the ultimate goal in AI, the big prize, is to build a true thinking machine, artificial general intelligence, or AGI. But here's the catch. How do you even start to build a mind if you can't really define what a mind is? So today we're going to go on a journey, starting with the very core of human intelligence, diving deep into the mechanics of our own brains to see if we can uncover the actual blueprint for AGI. Let's get right into it.
All right, so let's just kick things off with the biggest question of all. We throw the word intelligent around all the time, but what does it actually really mean? Is it about acing a test, solving a puzzle you've never seen before, adapting to a crazy new situation? Nailing this down is absolutely the most critical first step if we're ever going to get AGI right.
Okay, so to really figure this out, we have to look past the idea that intelligence is just a single number, like an IQ score. It's so much more than that. We need to actually deconstruct it, piece by piece.
And you know, it's funny, the first clue is baked right into the word itself. It comes from Latin, and it's a mashup of two key ideas. Interlegere, which means to choose between, and intelligere, which means to understand. So right from the very beginning, the concept wasn't just about knowing stuff, it was about the active process of selecting and comprehending.
And right away, you can kind of see intelligence splitting into two big camps. You've got the action-oriented side. Think of it as being street smart. It's all about making good decisions, adapting, and just getting things done efficiently. And then you have the cognitive side, the more book-smart aspect. This is your ability to make sense of the world and solve complex problems. A lot of arguments about intelligence really just come down to people focusing on one of these sides and not the other.
This brings us to a really crucial idea: fluid intelligence. Now think of this as the raw processing power of your mind. It's your ability to grab your mental tools, like your attention and your working memory, and just throw them at a problem you've never, ever seen before. It's not about what you already know. It's about how well you can think on your feet.
So how does our brain actually pull all this off? I mean, what's happening under the hood? To see that, we've got to zoom way in on a super important piece of our neural hardware, the hippocampus. You can think of it as the brain's master context engine. Its main job is to manage context. It's the reason the memory of that meeting you had at the office doesn't get all jumbled up with the memory of that conversation you had on vacation. It keeps everything filed away in the right mental folder, which prevents what scientists call mnemonic interference. That's just a fancy way of saying it stops our memories from bleeding into each other.
And the hippocampus has this brilliant two-part system to get this done. First, for every new situation, it creates a unique neural code, kind of like a digital stamp, to make sure that memory stays distinct. But at the same time, it does something else amazing. It tracks gradual change. It's the part of your brain that knows you're still in the same room, even if someone moves a coffee cup.
The way it pulls this off is just fascinating. It's basically a tale of two different parts of the hippocampus working together. You've got the dorsal part, which has these tiny place fields that are super sensitive. They notice every little detail, like that moved coffee cup. And then you have the ventral part, which uses these huge, broad place fields that kind of smooth over all those minor changes, letting you maintain the big picture. It's this perfectly balanced system. One part sweats the details, and the other keeps its eye on the overall context. Okay, so having a great memory filing system is awesome, but that's only half the battle. How do we actively use all that knowledge? This gets us to the incredible art of steering our own thoughts.
This skill is called semantic control, and it's your mind's ability to reach into its gigantic library of everything you know and pull out exactly the piece of information that's relevant right now. So, for example, when you pick up a knife, semantic control is what brings the idea spreads butter to the front of your mind, while pushing a totally irrelevant idea like cuts rope way to the back.
A really cool way to picture this is the hub and spokes model. So, the hub is your central concept. Let's say bird. The spokes are all the different sensory bits connected to it, what a bird looks like, what it sounds like, the word itself. And then you have this separate control network that acts like a conductor for an orchestra, deciding which of these spokes to activate depending on what you're trying to do.
And what's fueling this whole operation? Well, that's executive attention and working memory. They act like a spotlight and a temporary mental notepad. They keep your main goal in mind, I need to spread this butter, and hold on to all the relevant info you need to actually get the job done.
Okay, so we've seen how the brain manages context and how it controls knowledge. Now for the really fun part. Let's put all these pieces together and see how this gives us a genuine blueprint for building an artificial mind.
AI researcher Peter Voss has this really powerful way of looking at it. He says intelligence is basically a conversion ratio.
What he means is, it's not about how much experience you have, it's about how efficiently you can convert that experience into being able to handle new situations. Someone with a high ratio learns incredibly fast and can apply what they know to all sorts of new problems.
Building on that, we get a much clearer picture of what AGI actually is. We're not talking about a system that's just been pre-trained on the entire internet. We're talking about a system that can learn on its own, autonomously, and bit by bit, incrementally, just like a person does, to eventually master pretty much any cognitive task you throw at it.
So what's on the shopping list for a true AGI? Well, first, you need the core cognitive toolkit. This is the basic stuff, right? Recognizing things, making decisions, solving problems, reasoning about the world, and of course, being able to communicate. You can think of these as the fundamental gears of any intelligent mind.
But you know, just having those gears isn't enough, not by a long shot. To get to general intelligence, an AGI needs something way deeper. It has to be able to learn on its own, without a human constantly holding its hand. It needs to adapt in real time as the world changes. It has to build its own mental models of how things work, and this is the big one, it has to be able to reflect on its own performance and get better. That's the real difference between a system that's just been trained and a system that can truly learn.
Which leaves us with this one kinda huge question. As we use our own minds as the blueprint, are we just building a more powerful tool, or are we on the verge of creating a completely new kind of mind? Honestly, the answer to that is probably going to define our future. Thanks for tuning in.